The House Ethics Committee is expected to discuss the fate of its report on Matt Gaetz, the former Florida congressman who's both accused of having sex with a minor and Donald Trump's choice for Attorney General of the United States. Donald Trump shows no sign of changing his mind. As we first reported last night, he's calling senators who will have to vote on the nomination, including North Dakota's Kevin Cramer, standing there next to Elon Musk at today's SpaceX launch in Texas. The president-elect was asked about Gaetz just a few minutes later.
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
How far are you willing to go to get him confirmed?
As you saw, he didn't answer that. As for Gaetz himself, CNN has learned that he's also been calling senators and will be visiting with some on the Hill tomorrow. At the same time, some of the confidential material used by the Ethics Committee may be out in the wild somewhere. Multiple sources tell us that someone gained unauthorized access to several documents, including a deposition with a woman who says she had sex with Gaetz when she was 17 years old. And tonight, the lawyer for two accusers sat down with CNN's Erin Burnett. Joel Lepard told his clients, told the Ethics Committee that Gaetz paid his clients about $10,000 for sex over 2 years, and that their allegations, he believed, represent only a fraction of what the committee has learned.
You have to understand that my clients are only 2 out of the over a dozen witnesses that testified. I was present for 2 of those. And so what I'm telling you is just a fraction of the evidence that's available of the thousands of documents and the 25 subpoenas, 12 witnesses.
And I guess that's a crucial part of this. The House Ethics Committee is scheduled to make its decision on releasing their full report. Do you think the allegations you're talking about here and detailing, which have to do with your 2 clients, are a large chunk of their report, or do you think that this is the tip of the iceberg?
Well, I do think that's probably the tip of the iceberg.
Again, though, the president-elect is standing by Gaetz. So is Elon Musk, who posted this about him on social media, quoting now, Matt Gaetz has 3 critical assets that are needed for the AG role: a big brain, a spine of steel, and an axe to grind. He is the Judge Dredd America needs to clean up a corrupt system and put powerful bad actors in prison. Gaetz, he concludes, will be our hammer of justice, which may sound like the name of a pro wrestler, but Linda McMahon, who co-founded what would become the WWE wrestling empire, is actually expected to be tapped to become the next Secretary of Education. And once again tonight, a lot happening both in the open and behind the scenes, which is why we start things off with CNN's Caitlin Collins, anchor of The Source at the top of the hour. So, Caitlin, we heard the president-elect saying he's not second-guessing his choice of Matt Gaetz. What are you hearing about what's going on behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, Anderson, I mean, he's not until he is. That's kind of how things work in Trump's orbit, where he'll stand by someone. We've seen this before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that won't always be the case. Right now, it is certainly the case behind the scenes. We've been talking to Trump's allies and advisors all day about this and what this is going to look like. And right now, the president-elect is willing to use his political capital to stand by his pick for the attorney general. He wants to see him confirmed. He has doubted his chances of actually getting confirmed because, I mean, he's being told the truth by his advisors as they've been having conversations with Republicans on Capitol Hill. But right now, Anderson, they are standing behind him. We're seeing Senator J.D. Vance, who is the vice president-elect, go up with Matt Gaetz and these other nominees to Capitol Hill in the coming days. They're going to be trying to meet with these Republican senators and trying to convince them to at least give them a chance to consider this nomination, to not be opposed to it right away. But that comes as we're also seeing more Republican senators come out and say this idea of a recess appointment or sidestepping the Senate confirmation process and having that confirmation hearing, it's just not going to work with them. Tom Tillis just said that a few moments ago to reporters on Capitol Hill, saying that he doesn't believe anyone should want to be confirmed in a high-profile position by recess, and that the Senate should not, get rid of its responsibility here in terms of vetting these nominees to do so. So I think that's really the question here, is not necessarily whether Trump is standing by him, it's whether the Senate Republicans are going to be willing enough to vote for him. And we've heard some skeptical voices at Mar-a-Lago tonight about whether or not that's going to happen. They have a very clear-eyed view, Anderson, of how this is all shaping out right now.
Is the Trump team expecting any pushback on the choices of Mehmet Oz to run Medicare or oversee Medicare and Medicaid, and Linda McMahon to run the Department of Education?
We've heard from some of them who say, when you look at the slate of picks here, because there are these more controversial nominees that are getting all of the attention right now, it could help the others sail through. I mean, these are some of these nominees who 4 years ago or 8 years ago, Anderson, would not have had an easy confirmation process. I mean, Trump making his personal attorney, naming him as the deputy attorney general, would have been considered controversial a few months ago or a few weeks ago, but now, given how these dynamics have shaken out, he has shifted the spectrum here and where these senators are operating from and what they're looking at. With Mehmet